What is up, everybody? I'm your host Sean with Paper Planes, and welcome back to episode 2 of my Dark Souls complete walkthrough. Here we've got something new to check out. This is a bloodstain. Let's look at it here. A bloodstain is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's the blood of a fallen player. Ooh, wow. Okay, that player just committed suicide. There's many different reasons they could have done that. You know, they could have lost their job, found out their wife's cheating on them, or maybe Scruffy got hit by a car. We'll never know because we can't ask them. But occasionally, someone will actually notice that that's someone they know. They're bloodstained. I've had players that were watching my videos send me a message and be like, "Oh my god, that was my bloodstain on your video," or "I saw your ghost playing on my game." So it's kind of cool. It's a little bit of almost like an Easter egg kind of feel to it when you see other players. You're not really interacting with them, and they don't know that you can see what they've done, but it's there, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a stain. It's a stain on your game, and it doesn't last very long, so it's just like this little shimmer, this glimmer into somebody else's playthrough. So it's really cool. Let's read this message here. Try beating to a pulp. What is it that I want to beat to a pulp? I wonder. I'm not going to tell you guys because that's a little bit of a spoiler and you'll see it soon enough. But here we've got a little person sitting behind these bars. Let's see what they have to say. Interesting. They can't talk, so what are we going to assume? Maybe their tongue's been cut out. Yeah, so who knows? But this is what we call a firekeeper. And in certain areas where you have bonfires, there's going to be an NPC that's like basically soul is tied to that bonfire. So if you kill a firekeeper, that bonfire is no longer lit and you can't ignite it until the soul of that firekeeper is restored. So you can't always do that for certain firekeepers. And I'm not saying you can or can't for this one. You guys will find that out yourselves. But they can also reinforce Estus flask. So if you have a firekeeper soul, you give it to a firekeeper, and then they upgrade your Estus flask. So we can't, because we don't have one. So let's just go ahead and leave, because we know that she won't talk to us. Alright, we'll go back up these stairs real quick. This guy here, he's kind of the guy who drives the storyline a little bit. He's really one of the few NPCs that when you talk to, he actually gives you some kind of information. You might not know that he's telling you much, but by the end of the game, you're like, wow, this guy was really one of the few people that put me in any kind of storyline.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happened. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on. But I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
Okay, so there you got a little bit of the storyline. Clearly he's tasked you with something, and he's talking about 2 bell towers, and he lists places that they're located. So if you're new to the game, you don't really know anything about that or where those places are, but you know that you've got a destination, and you're needing to ring 2 bell towers because something happens. Whatever that might mean. You can continue talking to this guy, though.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit.
Hollow just means you don't look like him. You're not looking like a human, and if we pan the camera around, you can see you look like bacon. So that is just basically you look like those other little zombie dudes that you've been killing, except you're wearing clothes and you got nice gear. So NPCs react a little bit differently to you when you're hollow or when you're in human form. They'll have different kind of dialogue, and you know, they might actually trade with you a little bit differently, certain things. So, but there are repercussions to being human, just like there are repercussions to being hollow. It's not always a good and a bad thing, but know that when you're in your human form, you can be invaded by enemy players, but also you can summon friends to help you when you're in your human form. So keep that in mind. It's not always a good thing to be in human form. And in fact, I play most of my game as a hollow because I don't want to be invaded while I'm playing unless I'm looking to PvP. So running around as a human is kind of risky because not only do you have to watch out for the standard enemies that are just in the game itself, but you really have to keep an eye out for enemy players. And they are way more powerful than the enemies that you're fighting in the game, and they're coming prepared to play against another player. Whereas you're probably running around with just regular gear on. You're not thinking about playing an enemy opponent, so you're not really prepared for that kind of fight, and they're usually going to kick your butt. So that's just one of those things. Unless you're ready for PvP, or unless you're ready to fight a boss and summon one of your buddies, it's not that great to be a human. Just a word of advice.
What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collect it bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I'd never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all.
Okay, here you get the sense that this guy's kind of an evil character. You're like, okay, I don't know if I can trust this guy, because every time he says something, he has to laugh after it. Usually that means that this person's a villain. So, it's kind of like, do I trust what he said at all? Any piece do I take away from this? Pick and choose what you want to listen to. That's kind of your decision and your choice of action in this game. There are NPCs that will talk to you, but there are plenty of NPCs that will tell you incorrect information or try to deceive you. So you always have to decide your own course of action. You don't always want to listen to them.
What are you looking at? Don't try anything clever. You might regret it.
Okay, so you've exhausted your communication options with this guy now. You can kill him if you like. He's pretty tough for you at the beginning, but, there's no real benefit to killing him. And that's another thing that I want to discuss with you before this game gets too deep. You do not want to just go around killing the NPCs. Just because you've exhausted conversation pieces with them doesn't mean that there's no use for them in the future. When we finish the game, when I finish this whole walkthrough, I'm going to show you exactly what you want to do at the end of your game to plan on your playthrough plus. Your playthrough plus is your next playthrough. I'm going to go around and kill every single NPC that you should, collect all the gear and items that we can from them exactly when they're no more use to us in the game. So don't worry about any of that stuff now. You don't want to kill any NPCs unless they are hostile on their own, meaning they come at you before you ever swing at them. Because if I swing at this guy and he kills me, even when I start my character resurrection, revive at a bonfire, he's always going to be pissed and he's always going to come after me. He holds a grudge like a mofo. So you do not want to mess with the NPCs, especially the big ones like the blacksmith. Holy crap. If you accidentally hit the button that attacks them, you're screwed, okay? You can kill them, but trust me, you don't want to anger them. Praise the sun. You'll see that a lot. Here's another bloodstain. Let's check it out. Hello there. Okay, so here, let's see. Here he was probably messing with the NPC, and the guy just one-shotted him. But you see here, we've got some item. Here is 3 humanity, and this is a good find. We've got a lot of good gear at the beginning level here, so we're going to scour the area and see what we can find. Okay, nothing over here. Let's run up here. And there will be some loot down this pathway. Excellent. Firebomb is an equipable item. It's kind of like being a pyromancer, but not. So it's early in the game. Firebombs are really good, and they're very effective against most enemies. but since we have a fireball spell, we're not going to use the firebombs too often. But you see, since we looted something and we didn't have our equipment slots all filled up, it's just going to default into that space. So I want to get that soul out of there because I don't want that sitting in my inventory slot, and I'll leave those firebombs there. Now I'm gonna help you guys out and save you a bunch of time. This is not The Legend of Zelda. If you go around smoshing pots and barrels all day long, you're gonna be extremely disappointed because there's nothing there for you. Now there are some kind of things like boxes that have booby traps in them, but you're not gonna get an item by destroying a container. It just doesn't happen. So be wary of that. Now there are items hidden behind containers, so you can find those, but you'll see them. There's little telltale signs. So let's talk to this super fatty.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Firelink. Have you business with us? If not, I prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
Okay, so this guy is kind of a negative character towards you because you're crispy bacon with a hand axe, so he's not really that kind and warm.
Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
Ooh, a copper coin. Thanks, mister.
Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
You can say yes.
Very well. Then
Or you can say no.
a covenant with the god.
But I would say yes. Now, here's the thing that's going to confuse a lot of players. What the heck are covenants? Consider covenants like a guild, where you can join with this guy and you can benefit from it in different ways. There's a lot of different covenants, and they all have their own little perks and drawbacks to them. We'll go over that in another time, but you can say yes, and it's not really a problem for you because you can always change covenants, and leaving covenants sometimes have a penalty of incurring sin, and you can get sin cleansed by spending souls at a specific NPC that we'll encounter later. So it's never a bad thing to leave a covenant unless you've got a lot of progress with one specific covenant and you know that you want to stay with that covenant. Because, like, let's say you're a dark wraith or a chaos servant and you've built up a lot of loyalty and rank with that covenant. You don't want to leave that covenant because you're going to pay the price. Next time you want to join them, you have to start all over again. So you don't retain your ranks in covenants. So I know a lot of you guys that want to get achievements and trophies will see that they're, you know, like joining different covenants is a requirement to a lot of those things. So keep that in mind for different playthroughs, different characters. One guy joins this covenant, the other guy joins that. Or join all the covenants that you don't care about early in the game and quit them, and then join the covenant that you really want to play later in the game. So that's just something you need to be aware of. So I'm going to join this covenant. There we go. So
now let me share my miracles. Only their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
now miracles are just spells, basically. They're spells for a cleric. You don't have to be the cleric class to cast miracles, but you do have to have a whatchamacallit. Let's enter in his purchase item screen so I can see what it's called because I'm drawing a brain fart. A talisman. Talisman is like a catalyst for sorcerers where you own one, you equip it like a weapon, and then you can attune that faith spell, that miracle, and cast it, okay? So if I wanted to cast miracles, I'd need to purchase this talisman. Don't do that because we got a free one just around the corner. Now, there's miracles here that you can purchase, but I don't want you guys to purchase this stuff just yet. I think their money is better spent at a place nearby. So just know that you can come back and get these when you can. Alright, so here's something that we can do. We can learn a new gesture, and this is a shrug. Gestures are a way of communicating with other players, because in this game you can't use chat. Like, so if you're playing on Xbox, you can't use that Xbox Live chat. So just know that gestures are the way that the game developers intended for you to communicate. So we can leave here.
Come again. The effectiveness of the teachings depend upon your faith.
Okay, and that's a key thing that he just said there. So we're going to go to our character screen here, and we're going to look at our faith statistic. It's down to the bottom left, just above the humanity, and it says that we have 8 faith. That's not going to give us a lot of opportunities to cast different miracles. We might not even be able to cast one at all with that faith. But what he's saying is your miracles are more effective the more faith you have. So, and different items will scale better with certain statistics. So you can hold on to one talisman that scales higher, meaning it's more effective with the more faith you have, or you might have a different talisman that does better with more, intelligence. So that's the main difference between talismans. You might say, like, okay, I saw that you could purchase one talisman, or there was another one that cost more. Why does that cost more? It's not like it's a weapon where it's stronger than the other, but that's how it's more effective. So just know that. And also, you want to, you don't want to, like, just when you're leveling your character up and you're spending your souls, you don't just want to, like, throw them around blindly. And we'll go over that once we start improving our character. But just know that unless you're planning on casting miracles early, don't spend any points in faith. It's going to go wasted. You've got other things that you're going to use way more often, like your combat skills, your health, and your endurance. Also, you can see under my name there that I've joined the covenant, the Way of the Whites. And it's kind of a pointless covenant. It doesn't really do a whole lot of benefit to you, and you're not going to see a lot of people that join it. It's probably the most joined covenant, actually, because everybody says yes to that guy. But it's quickly left, and nobody that's an in-game player sits around in the Way of White. It doesn't do you any good. Okay, so here, let's move on. Looking for items, nothing there. Got that, sweet. Okay. Nothing here. Oh, I see a chest down there. Nice, nice. So there we've got a item that we have to discover on how to get to. So we will figure that out in a short moment. Let's go ahead and get the rest of the stuff that's in this area before we do anything. Okay, you see a chest back here. Let's see what that is. Now, here's an empty chest, and a lot of us have theories about this, and what I've come to understand this chest to be is if you have a specific item that's needed in the game, like a key that you'll never get again if you drop it. So, like, you're able to drop items, and some items, like this axe, I can get a million times over because vendors sell it. So if I drop it, it's not important. But if I drop a key that's one of a kind, I think it's going to respawn for me back in this box. Okay, so you guys can test my theory out if you want. I've never had an item that I cared about enough to try that theory. Or, I've just never really cared because I'm not going to drop anything really. So, but, if that happens to you for whatever reason, I don't know how, but if it does, and you're looking for that one item that you need to progress through the game, come back to this chest and check it out. It might be there. Alright, so we can come over here, and we'll check around this area here. Don't see anything. Oh, we see some stuff down there. Let's check up here, last spot. Okay, so there's an item back here. Can grab that, and that's a soul. Now, looting souls is different than the souls that we've got in the bottom right. They're just like money in the bank, basically. when you get items that are souls, it's much better than the souls that you get from killing enemies, because the soul items, they just sit in your inventory until you want to use them. So it's always safe. When you die, you don't lose them. So, it's very important to have that stuff. Now we're going to come back here and inspect the rest of the area in a second, but I want to show you something that's really important to do. And that is, we're going to spend the souls that we have on us, because we're about to get into some hairy situations and we're probably going to die. So I don't want to lose these souls for no reason. I don't want to spoil anything that I've earned. That's one thing that you need to learn about this game, and that's use your resources or lose your resources. I mean, anytime you die, you run the risk of not being able to get back to your souls. And that's just a key thing that you need to be cautious about. So we're coming down here because there's a vendor down here that I want to talk to. He's actually a blacksmith. And of course there's a couple items down here also that we want to get. So just drop down here and you see we've got a soul that we looted. Now there are some enemies that are just chilling out here like they were in the asylum, and so you got some free souls that you can get. So that's nice. Every once in a while they'll drop something. Okay, you see that because I was walking off this little teeny step, it did a lunging attack. I don't know why, but it just happened to do that. So we're basically going to kill these guys until we get souls up to 2,500. So we kill this guy, going a little crazy here. And the reason we want to get to 2,500 is because that's the amount we need to purchase the items that I want. Alright, let's just go ahead and kill this guy for good measure. Just for looking at the wall. What do you think you're doing, buddy? Okay, so now the vendor is kind of hidden. He's over here. You need to be careful when you get to him because he's going to be down here where the steps disappear. So don't just like accidentally press the B button or anything like that and backstep off the stairs. I've done that before.
Well, this is unusual. You haven't lost your head. And more importantly, you're free. How on earth? Well, I shouldn't pry. I'm Rickett of Vinheim. I was once an established smith. Look at me now. Can you believe it?
Okay, so Rickert just told you a little bit about himself. He is a blacksmith, and he's imprisoned here, but I don't think he cares to leave.
What is it? Have you? Oh no. Don't worry. I've no intention of escaping. It's safe here. I can't bear the thought of going hollow out there. Although, I must admit, I've not much to occupy myself. How about this? I could forge your weapons, albeit with rather minimal tools. I'll show you what made me the best in Vinheim.
Okay, so this is our first encounter with a blacksmith. You can see here that they can do stuff with your weapons. Now you need certain materials for them to improve your weapons, and it tells you there that you need 100 souls and 1 Titanite shard to improve your weapon. Okay, we don't have that. We have the soul requirement, but we don't have the material. So knowing that, we're going to go into the purchase item section and we're going to look for some stuff that we need real quick. Alright, so here's a soul arrow spell. I want to buy that. It's got 30 uses and it costs me 2,000 souls. We're going to use this spell a heck of a lot. Also, here's the Sorcerer's Catalyst. You need the Catalyst to equip it to be able to cast the spells from the Sorcery tier set. Okay, so now we've got 48 souls. We don't care about that. We're probably going to use them. We're probably going to lose them when we die because we're going to make a suicide run here in a second. So we can go ahead and leave this.
Smithing.
Don't need to listen to that. Now here we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you... Well, I'll show you the sorcery stuff in a second because we need to attune that anyways. Alright, so here's what I want to do. We're going to come over here and grab a little bit of loot. There's a couple items left. So we got the Estus, and this is a rare weapon. That's the only one you can get. So you get one per playthrough. And then we've got this item down here. Let's just go ahead and two-hand this so we can kill this guy. Now you see some weapons, they have different ranges. So they're going to swing over an enemy that's sitting low and things like that. So you need to just figure out the move set for all your weapons. Alright, so Transient Curse. Equipping and using the Transient Curse allows you to damage ghosts. Otherwise your weapons have no effect on them. So we're not going to do that though, even though we're going to be moving into their territory. We're going to be running through this area because we want to get a Firekeeper soul. And we're probably going to die, but if we don't, that's fine. But if we do, it's just as well. It's no big deal. So just follow my lead here. We're going to go down this scary pathway here. Need Charmer. Yeah, see, that doesn't tell you a lot. It's hard for some people to get their message across. Alright, so at this point we're going to start running and immediately go to the right here. Now we're going to go down this skinny corridor, and you see that soul in front of you? I'm going to sprint to that, grab it, turn around, and try to run back. Now, I made it through. A lot of you won't. And then we're going to run back here. Keep running. Don't even stop to heal because those ghosts move pretty quick. And as you saw, they've got those really long weapons. So you need to stay away from that. Once you get across this bridge here, you're totally safe. Now we can heal up. And we've got the Firekeeper soul. Now there's one other spot that I want to hit over in this area. There's some items that we want to get. And we can obtain them because we have the Master Key. If you did not select the Master Key as your gift, you will not be able to open this door. Used the Master Key. So this is a huge reason of why I like the Master Key. So now we get a big soul item there. And we've got two new things open for us. That area to the right is the upper level of Blighttown. We don't care about going there right now. What I want is the stuff that this dragon is guarding over here. And this is a suicide run for certain, because when you grab a specific item from this guy, he's going to wake up and lay down the smackdown on you. So don't run into him. Go over here and get the first item. Now you're going to sprint over here and grab these two. And he's going to wake up. And you can try to run, but it's not going to help you out. There is no hope. That's okay. We don't mind that. We got two really good items and a nice soul, okay? The shield is going to be a shield that we're going to use for a while. So let's go to our inventory. Put that Dragon Crush shield on. And now let's check out this other item here. We got the Astora Straight Sword. You can see right away it does the same physical damage as the hand axe, but it also does 80 magical damage. So let's see what this thing says here. We need different required parameters to equip this. We need 10 strength and 14 faith. So we have 8 faith, so that means we need 6 more faith. And then we have... I'm sorry, we need 10 dexterity. We already have enough strength. So we need 1 more dexterity to equip that. So that means we need 7 more levels before we can even equip this item. Which isn't bad, because it's a decent weapon, but it's probably not worth it for us unless we know we want to spend in those stats anyways. So it's just something to think about. And then you can see here, the demands for the Estus aren't as much, but it doesn't do the same physical damage that our axe does. It's got the same critical bonus, 100 and 100, but it's got different parameter bonuses, more requirements, and the weight is heavier, and the durability is less. So it's just like one of those things. You just decide if you want to use it or not because of its move set, if you're better with that weapon or whatever it may be. Okay, so we got that. Let's get rid of these two things. We don't want those in our inventory. And now let's check out our equipment load. So we're still under the preferred weight that I want. So we're looking good. And now we've got this beast shield. Let me show you the shield actually. We'll show you the details on the shield. The shield does 100% physical damage. So as long as I can sit here like this and something's hitting me with physical damage up front, I'm never going to take any damage. But my stamina is going to lower and eventually it's going to break my guard. So that's just something to think about. And this is why I love this shield early on. It's 100% physical reduction and I can still parry with it. Alright, so let's see. Where else do we want to go? Let's go down here real quick and talk to our Firekeeper so we can give them the Firekeeper soul that we just worked so hard to get. So by doing that, you select the Reinforced Estus flask. It says use Firekeeper soul to reinforce. Of course, say yes. And now you see down below that we have 10 Estus flasks of +1. So that just means that they heal more damage. Alright, sweet. So we've got one more suicide run to go on. And just like before, just like when I picked the Firekeeper soul, you're not always going to die, but you're most likely going to die. And there's just, you know, you try to get what you can in as few attempts as possible. So we're coming up here. We're also going to go to those chests and everything, and that's along the way. So you just drop down here. This is usually an elevator, but right now the elevator isn't active. So here we've got a lot of chests. So let's grab what we got. Cracked Red Eye Orb. Cracked Red Eye Orb is a multiplayer PvP item. It enables you to invade other players' worlds. Here we've got the Morning Star and the Talisman, and that's the free talisman that I was telling you about. That's why I didn't want to buy the first one. And here we've got Homeward Bone. Homeward Bone you'll use fairly often. It just returns you to the bonfire. So that's just something that you want to use when you go to, you know, like when you're in an area and you don't want to travel all the way back to where you were, you just use the Homeward Bone and it'll send you to the bonfire that you last rested at. Okay, cool. And here's our last chest down here. The Lloyd's Talisman. The Talisman is an item that a lot of people consider a PvP item, but it's also something that you're going to use against regular enemies that use Estus flasks. There are enemies that will heal themselves. So by hitting them with a Talisman, they won't be able to heal themselves as long as the effect of the Talisman is active. So that's something that you can definitely utilize on particular enemies, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to one of those said enemies. Alright, so, and I'm actually going to put that on my inventory. Good, it's there. Okay. Now this is the area that's the suicide run. And this area is where a lot of people come while they're playing the game because they think it's the natural progression. They're like, okay, I see this stuff here. Skeletons. Looks easy enough, right? You know, it shouldn't be too bad. Whoops. But the skeletons will whoop your booty. Trust me on that. That's why I'm rolling around like a madman. Because they are no joke. Alright, so when we get over here, I'm heading over to this item. This is a... oh, shoot. This is a big boy item right here. There's binoculars down below me, but I don't care about those. I never use the binoculars. You can grab them if you want, but they're pretty pointless. So here we go. We got our soul. You see how much damage that guy does? Ooh, and imagine getting hit by that big boy. So now we're going to sprint all the way up here. They're going to follow you the whole way. And you want to sprint up to the stairs here so you can get a kill like that when they fall. But your best bet is to race back to this bonfire so you can rest here. There you go. When you hit that bonfire, like I said, the enemies go back to their point, and the ones that you killed have now respawned. Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at what we looted real quick. We got some new weapons here. This Zweihander. This is a big boy. This is super huge. You can see here it takes a lot of strength to wield, 24 strength and 10 dexterity. Obviously, we can't use this for a long time, so don't really worry about it right now. What else did we get? We got this Caduceus round shield. Decent shield, but we're not going to use this. Alright, so that's going to be it for this episode, everybody. I hope you learned something for this session, and stay tuned for episode number 3, where we progress into the Undead Burg. Alright, everyone, I'll see you there. Thanks for checking out my video. If you enjoyed it, click the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel and social media accounts to keep current with Paper Planes updates. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.